They actually have a plan for today's Nice Guys on Business podcast. You don't want to miss it.
And the next day, I just started working with a brand new life coach. I think I was his first client ever. And I'm telling him this over the phone. And he's doing something a coach shouldn't do, which is laugh at how pathetic your life is. And he said, I got two questions for you. One, are you this open and honest about your life with everybody? And I said, yeah. And he said, two, you ever thought of doing stand-up comedy or being a motivational speaker? And within 6 months, I was doing both.
Oh, no, wait a minute. You think I'm funny, like a clown. Do the nice guys amuse you? Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, fucking fans. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You see how I snuck in that little ladies and gentlemen there. It is Wednesday, midweek hump day. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler.
Hey, I forgot to mention to you yesterday's show, you put out the bonus material on Saturday.
Yeah.
Bonus material, the National Parks.
National Parks, yeah.
That was a good one. God, even a year ago we sucked.
Do we suck less now, do you think?
No, we just suck less.
We suck differently.
Yeah, we definitely suck differently. We have reached a whole new plateau of suck.
You think?
I do. But you know what? It kind of leaves you out there for that much more ability and room for improvement. Aren't we always improving, every one of us?
I love the fact that we have lots of room for improvement. And maybe Steve Gamlin could help us with that because he has his motivational firewood that could get us motivated and focused.
I love, he has this whole program on creating a storyboard, and I love the idea of, can you imagine what that storyboard could look like for us? One of the pictures would be Bad Motherfucker, the wallet that I just sent to you. One of them would be all of Muhammad Shakiba's cover art about the national parks. Let's see, what other pictures would go in our storyboard?
Oh, God, I can't even imagine, yeah.
The picture of us at the... where did we eat with Anna in Las Vegas?
Oh, at Hash House of Go-Go in Vegas.
Yeah, we would put.
Yeah.
We would eat our way to health.
Yeah.
So many good things. I know this is not a Tuesday or Thursday rambling day, so let's talk a little bit about Steve. We'll get to the interview with him, and we'll move on to tomorrow's show where we can expand a little bit more about all the fun stuff that we're going to talk about. So Steve, Steve, when he introduced himself to me, or when we talked about him coming on the show, I asked him to do something after the interview, which I always ask people to do. Hey, just put out a little promo on the show. And this guy actually created an entire YouTube video for us.
I love that.
So if you haven't seen that, go over to our community page. Yeah. No, well, you can do that. Oh, yeah, that's right. You can. You can go over to the show notes and click on it. Yeah. The best way to do it is to see it right active on the timeline. If you're not a member of our nice guys community page, I don't think it's niceshortcut.com anymore. What's
the
going
timeline on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
Yes.
What happens?
I've got to talk to Dan Rice about how our niceshortcut.com, but that's only to sign up anyway. It's if you haven't signed up yet. Go to Facebook, search for Nice Guys Community, and we're trying to figure out why our nice shortcut link isn't up.
Did you pay for the renewal?
I think the credit card may have been declined. It's possible that the credit card got declined.
Well, speaking of credit card decline, there's an easy way around that. If you would actually just support the show a little bit.
Patreon.com /nice guys.
That's right. We have reward levels that top out at $1,500 a month. Aren't we worth $1,500 a month in entertainment?
I think so.
Well, if you don't think so, aren't we worth $1 a month? And all of the different levels that are in between. So patreon.com /nice guys. Just check out all the different reward levels. We would love and appreciate your support of the show. Okay, let's see. Should we let me just do just a brief little promo on Overcast. Just if you are not recommending the episodes enough, please take a moment and recommend them. Just hit the little star key. Sean Carpenter, don't forward past this. It's not going to be 30 seconds worth of commercial. So just stay with us here. Even at 1.5 times, it won't be worth hitting the button. Just take a moment. Go over to where are we? What the hell? Where are we?
Which one are you talking about now?
Patreon? No, we've done that. No, what was the other one? Overcast. That's it. Yeah, we have slipped in the rankings. We are still number 1 in the business category, but as of Saturday or Sunday, actually, we were number 15. People, what is up with that? We were number 15 on the most recommended, which means that all we need to do is just promote this more. If you don't want to hear us say this anymore, then just do it every week. If you just support the show, that would be great by hitting the little recommend button as well.
And Sean, I'm going to apologize because that clearly was 30 seconds. You could have just hit the skip button, and
Yeah. But every once in a while, you gotta tell a little white lie. No, you can't do that. I guess you shouldn't.
You don't want to lose people's confidence in you. Steve Gamlin is our interview today. We actually have an interview today. Steve Gamlin's Motivational Firewood, and inspiredbysteve.com. That's his website, and he's all about motivation. I mean, we all need a little bit more motivation sometimes.
Have you ever taken a Toastmasters class?
No, I've thought about it. I have not done it yet.
Well, I think one of the earlier steps in becoming a professional speaker for those that think that they are held back by their either fear of speaking or not knowing what the subjects they're going to talk about is taking a Toastmasters class. And Steve actually has been an award-winning Toastmasters champion. Very cool guy, National Speakers Association affiliated speaker, knows what he's doing, knows how to create amazing motivational speeches for your conference or for your company. So check out his website, but first listen to the interview right here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. So can we just do the interview, or you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we're good. Why don't we just dive right on in?
Let's dive in. Steve Gamlin, the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Let's do it. You know how we are here on the Nice Guys. Make us laugh, and you've got a friend in us. Make us laugh and teach us how to make money in the process. Well, you've got a friend for life. Well, that brings us to today. Steve Gamlin has been making audiences laugh for over a decade, whether you're learning a lesson from bungee jumping, polar bear plunging. Jesus, you actually did all these things. Polar bear plunging, skydiving. He's either got a death wish or a great cause. I can't really figure it out, but we're about to find out. Welcome, Steve, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here.
Did you actually do all those things? So I thought when you jumped from a 102-story building, was that bungee jumping or was it something else?
That was at the Stratosphere in Las Vegas, and it's actually not a bungee. It's a steel cable. And if you think of the winch on the front of a Jeep, it's kind of like that. It's a gigantic version of that. And you're strapped to it, and you Superman off the 108th floor, I think, and you just free fall with a GoPro on your wrist, screaming your brains out. And right around the third or fourth floor, they do a gentle braking mechanism. You don't even realize you're slowing down until somebody goes, "Sir, you want to put your feet down?"
Oh, so in other words, they have a steel cable, but are you held by your feet or by your arms?
It's kind of by your waist in the back, so you look like Superman jumping off the building and floating down.
I got it. So it's not just like a jolt, and it's not. Is it a free fall? I can't tell. If you have a steel cable, it's like almost like an assisted free fall.
It's pretty free. It's kind of like free fall with a conscience. That if you really don't want to crash, they'll actually stop you. Because you pay extra for that.
I get it. Yeah, you pay extra to kill yourself. So you did. So did you do a polar bear plunge? Because I know that you jumped into the Atlantic Ocean in freezing cold water too. So
I did. Yeah, a couple years in a row up here in New Hampshire. We have a tiny coastline, so we figure, why not run into it in the middle of winter and raise money for Special Olympics? The first year I did it, the water and the air were about the same temperature, 33, 34 degrees. The second year, the water was 33, the air was 8.
Oh my gosh, that had to be not good.
Thought I was gonna die. And there's video footage of me just looking in the camera saying it was worth it. It was worth it. So obviously I was delirious because I haven't done it since.
I think twice is enough. I agree. And is it regularly that you put yourself in harm's way? I mean, is that something that you just enjoy doing?
I've just had this concept since I was a teenager that at least once a year you've got to do something that scares the crap out of you. And I always call it blowing out the cobwebs. And it doesn't mean you have to jump off a building or out of a plane. You just figure out something that's beyond your comfort zone. Now, for me, that used to be things like going to the movies by myself. That used to really scare me.
Okay.
I just had this thing about, going to the movies by yourself. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to share the experience. And it was very uncomfortable for me. And one day I went and did it and had the time of my life. And I just thought, for some people, that is death-defying, or that is a big jump. So at least once a year, I just try to conquer a little fear or just scare the crap out of myself and realize that it's like having a backyard. Every year you do a little something to make move the fence out and just make it a little bigger and more beautiful and more comfortable.
And something that you're doing, which is probably very fearful for a lot of people, is that you actually have a YouTube channel, and I've had a chance to watch a bunch of the videos, and you have some really cool editing and your content is actually A+. I mean, really, really enjoy it. I think I was just recently introduced to it when I was introduced to you also just within the last few days. Great ideas, including, I love some of these things, taking a dump, giving the finger, and picking a winner. So
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about the great spin that you have on business? Because you do a lot of things through humor, and a lot of the points that you make are through comedy, and I love that. So how did that all come up?
I was on the radio from 1992 to 2002, and that was actually the culmination of finally fulfilling a lifelong dream from when I was a kid. And so I was on rock morning shows, classic rock morning shows for about 10 years. And all of a sudden, I just started becoming a comedy writer, which led to, after my radio career, I did 7 years of stand-up and took all of the cleaner material and the functionality of it and brought it into my speaking, because I literally have spent tens of thousands of dollars either going to events or investing in materials from the gurus. And I found so much of it so dry, so boring, and so repetitious and completely without creativity that I said, I'm going to take the comedy and I'm going to weave it into my everyday conversations, my videos, my podcasts on stage. And I'm going to use humor to be memorable and set myself apart from what I thought was the boring regurgitation of all things motivational.
So share, okay, so that brings me to an interesting point, because it really is, we haven't really set up what it is that you do and what your career is in, other than I've mentioned, public speaking, professional speaking. So share with our Funkin' fans, that is our Nice Guy community, what it is that you do and what really it is that you want to be known for, Steve.
My brand is the Motivational Firewood guy. And it came out of a conversation about a decade ago where somebody said, okay, you're going to get on stage, you're going to go rah, 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 buy my stuff, and you're going to yell some acronyms like fear is false evidence appearing real, which I hate. And
right.
I just said, all I can do is give people information. If they latch onto it and do something with it, then that's an ultimate win for me, to be memorable enough for somebody to wake up the next day and think differently, speak differently, or act differently, even in just one way. And if I can make you laugh in the process, that's even better. And I said, it's kind of like you got the spark because you want to do something, and I'm just throwing firewood at you, like motivational firewood. And the gentleman I was speaking with said, do you know anything about trademarking? And I said, I have no clue. And he said, you need to go trademark that. He says, that approach is really interesting and it's different. So I'm the motivational firewood guy. I share funny stories, mostly from my own life, metaphors, parables, and as many catchphrases and recallable things as possible from the beginning to the end of all my speaking events. I've had somebody run into me in the grocery store 3 years after hearing me speak, walked up to me in the Captain Crunch aisle and quoted a story I had said 3 years ago and what he did with it, which was land a new job. So it's working, and I'll continue to stay that way forever.
Well, what's really nice is that also, you do a lot of visuals. You do a lot of this is brought to your YouTube channel. Now, is that one of your favorite spots to share your content, or are there some better angles and opportunities and channels that you use as well?
For as much as I feel like I have a face for radio, I really do dig doing the YouTube videos. It's just like speaking in public, being on camera, having a camera 2 or 3 feet in front of your face is a scary thing. And when you learn to just make friends with it and have a conversation and imagine it's somebody in front of you who really needs that advice that day, that's what I love most about creating them. And if I can use some humor, some visuals, and be memorable, I'll just keep getting in front of the camera every single day and cranking out a new video. And it's just like at a live event. The people that are in the front row clapping and cheering, maybe they've seen you before, they're fans, whatever, that's wonderful. The person I'm after every day is the person who sat in the back, came in late, never made eye contact, never raised their hand, never participated, but desperately needs that message. That's who I create my videos for.
Yeah, short format, really easy to watch, very, very easy, very sensible. It seems like a lot of the information you would say, oh, God, why didn't I think of that? Or I know that, why am I just not putting that into action? You also have something called the Digital Entrepreneur with 2 other guys, Peter and Tim?
Yes. Yeah. We kind of got together and realized, hashing it out one day, we've got more than 60 years combined of self-employed experience in different areas of the spectrum, and we started to kick around these things and realize we've all had exactly the same problems. And we just threw this little broadcast together to share how we've overcome everything and how we're now trying to survive in the digital world. And it's just kind of caught on. It's been a lot of fun.
So one of the things I ask a lot of the folks that come on the show, just because I think it's interesting having the side conversations with somebody. Well, how did you get into that, and what angle are you trying to approach your customer, your potential customer, your market? If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, because nobody ever plans on being a professional speaker or a digital content creator, what do you think you'd be doing?
I honestly have no idea. I would probably be, and I've thought this over the years, because every once in a while I wonder that, like, what would I be doing? If I didn't crawl back to radio, I would probably be in a 9-to-5 job somewhere that I absolutely hated, because I've had great managers and bosses in the past, and I've had some horrible ones, some that I've just observed because they weren't my boss, but they were bosses of my friends. And I thought, I never want to be at the mercy of somebody like that again, who, if they're having a bad day, is going to make my day a bad day.
Well, you shared a little bit about radio in the 10 years from 92 to 2002 that you were there, but what about give me the little bit more of the backstory. Just share like how you got to where you are, because I think a lot of times, especially a guy like me who is in basically the same space, but arrived at it probably a completely different way than you did. There are people that are in our community that are saying, well, how do you get there? You know, how do I know if I'm heading down how am I know if I'm even in the right lane? What's my purpose? What's my calling? Where am I going? And sometimes to show them that you never end up going where you think you're going to go. Oftentimes that's the most relatable experience at all. So share a little bit about your path.
Sure. I got into radio initially because a friend of mine kept asking me. I was very just down and depressed and broke in my early 20s. And he kept asking me why I never got and followed your passion of wanting to be on the radio. So the summer of 92, I went to broadcast school, borrowed $4,000 from my grandfather, got an internship that fall at a radio station, went and told my friend. He was all excited. And 3 weeks later, he passed away. He died of cancer at age 23.
Wow.
It took me a long time to get the lesson. But what it finally came to me is when somebody believes in you, but even before you believe in yourself, and they say, you know what, you would be great at this. You're happy and joyful when I see you talk about this. That's what got me through the 10 years of radio. Now, I worked 15 years worth of hours and completely just fried myself. And as has happened a couple of times in my life, I didn't just ease myself out of it. I quit my radio career without a full-time job. Shortly after, went through a divorce, which had a little something to do with quitting my job without telling my then wife. Got to give her that one. And I was at age 35, right? Almost bankrupt. I was $65,000 in debt, and I wound up basically crawling home to family, just busted in every sense of the word. It's kind of like the old Tom and Jerry cartoons when the bomb goes off and Tom sits there just with the ashes and goes, "What happened?"
Yeah, right. Not realizing it.
A hot August day in 2003, on a Friday afternoon, I had $3 in my pocket, and I went and got a big bucket of golf balls at this driving range that used to be near here. And I went way down to the right-hand end because that was where you could do the least amount of damage. That's where the fences were, because I'm a horrible golfer. If you want to be safe, stand right in front of me. I'll never hit you. And it was under power lines at that end, and all of a sudden, a thunderstorm comes ripping through. Now, two guys that were near me just took off for their car. So I'm standing in a thunderstorm, barefoot in the wet grass, under power lines, and every ball I hit just had something in my life I was mad at. And I remember distinctly just waving the club around in a little circle and just sarcastically looking up saying, "Go ahead, I dare you.
Take me. Hit
just
me.
Go ahead. I don't care." And I hit all my golf balls, and then they left 2 buckets of their golf balls, so I hit all of them.
Oh my gosh.
In the thunderstorm, barefoot in the wet grass, got to my car and the sun came out, and I just remember looking up thinking, you're just messing with me now. And the next day, I just started working with a brand new life coach. I think I was his first client ever. And I'm telling him this over the phone. And he's doing something a coach shouldn't do, which is laugh at how pathetic your life is.
Sorry.
And he said, I got 2 questions for you. 1, are you this open and honest about your life with everybody? And I said, yeah. And he said, 2, you ever thought of doing stand-up comedy or being a motivational speaker? And within 6 months, I was doing both.
Nice.
If anyone else can match that story, go buy a lottery ticket, because it is probably the most unusual way into the industry. But here's what I tell people now when they ask me how to become a speaker. I just tell them, put pen to paper and figure out what life has taught you so far and share it because somebody else needs to hear it.
Okay, so share, put the practicality into that, and again, bring it to an action item that somebody that isn't interested in becoming a motivational speaker can actually find some level of relatability if you haven't hit them over the head with your sledgehammer with the story, because the story means a lot.
Yeah.
But what does that mean to a guy that's working a job right now, hating the job, and just trying to figure out where he is or he or she is supposed to go with their life as a next step?
Think of what life has taught you and think of a way that you can express it in some way, whether it be speaking, whether it be writing, whether it be maybe coaching people, mentoring people, maybe become a manager somewhere. Taking the skills and the knowledge that you have learned from getting beaten up along the way, figure out a way to, first off, get paid to do it, because it's wonderful to be a speaker and I love it, but I got to pay my bills too.
Right.
But
right.
Take the skills you've learned and find a place somewhere in the world that people are getting paid to do that. And I mean, I had guys crawling into a septic tank at my house today. Probably nobody's childhood dream, but they found a pain out there in the world and they figured out a way to solve it. The guy can hold his breath for 3 minutes, I guess. I don't know. He was down there for a while.
Share a little bit about the journey with patients as a part of the process too, because I know just from my own experience as a professional speaker as well, I'm much newer in this avenue than you are, just about 5 years into this game. But I can remember those first 2, maybe even those first 3 years, just thinking, will anybody ever pay me? Will anybody ever pay me? Thinking I just can't stop. And then slowly but surely it started to get some traction. But is that a lesson that you learned along the way as well?
Oh yeah, I learned it the hard way, that just because somebody waves money at you doesn't mean they were the right audience or you're the right speaker.
Oh, that's true too. Very true.
Your first 3 years was my first 6. Just wondering, am I ever going to get paid for this? And looking back, I've saved just about every visual presentation I've used, and I've saved some old recordings. And now when I listen back to them, I go, well, no wonder nobody paid me. I sucked. But then somebody did come by with some money and waved it at me, and I said, oh, sure, I can speak to anybody. I was wrong. Apparently, aeronautical engineers are not a good audience for someone like me.
Oh my gosh.
They're brilliant,
yeah.
And I'm not. And I couldn't speak their language. And I walked out of that one. That was, about 3 years in. And that one nearly ended my career. So I tell people, look, it's going to hurt. You're going to have some really bad experiences. But if you take notes, I mean, I've been keeping journals for 28 years. If you take notes along the way and don't just gloss over things with a broad brush, write down what you learned, what went really, really well, and what you need to work on. If you're going to be a speaker, and I'll just say it for this side of things, to be a speaker, audio or videotape every single thing you do. It is the best way to get better very, very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I haven't followed that advice at all. It's so we as speakers look to our speaker reel. I mean the video that we're taking, that is like the thing that will get you booked, and that's been my biggest challenge over the last 5 years. Is just it's like I think that I'm waiting for this is going to be the perfect opportunity to record this. There are never perfect opportunities. Just record everything. You'll get some You'll get some footage out of everything. Just even a little bit of it.
The ones that I said, oh, this one's going to be perfect, would have really bad lighting, or something would fall in the middle of it, or you get to something poignant and somebody would sneeze in the front row. It just gets wrecked.
I was just at did you also go to the National Speakers Association? I was just in Orlando. I don't know if you were there also.
I wasn't able to this year due to my schedule, no, unfortunately.
So it's interesting because you talk about perfect presentation that never was. The closing keynote speaker, his name was Siku, an amazing speaker about bringing poetry basically and language and theatrics to your message. And he showed a basic clip of him doing a presentation. And in the middle of the presentation, when he was just about to make his monster, grand slam home point, he raises his hand to the air and the fire alarm went off. I mean, the fire alarm literally stopped him dead in his tracks for about 0.9 seconds. And not long enough for the audience to know, but him long enough to adjust his thinking, include the fire alarm as a part of his closing speech, and hit a home run as a result of it. And I keep thinking, why am I waiting for the perfect opportunity? This guy was in the middle of 1,000 people doing a closing keynote speech. He raises his hand, the alarm goes off. Everybody could think, his freaking speech is over. No, it's not over. He used it completely to his advantage.
Nice. Yeah, I had one in Phoenix in May. It was at the Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona, and about 450 people in there, brain injury survivors and their caregivers. And about 15 minutes in, I'm listening to the speakers, and I'm thinking, it doesn't sound quite right. And I look to stage right, and there is the sound guy saying, I gave you the wrong microphone.
Oh, no.
And now this is all being professionally videotaped and everything. So I'm thinking, okay, one of several things can happen. Some speakers would yell at the guy for giving him the wrong microphone. And I just told the audience, look, I need y'all to hum either Muskrat Love or Rocket Man to yourselves. I'm going to put you on hold for about 30 seconds, and we'll be right back with the better microphone. Da-da-da-da. And just rolled right with it, because that is the best thing you can do in any situation.
I think you just aged yourself. Muskrat Love and Rocket Man.
Well, I grew up in the 70s watching those K-Tel TV commercials. So.
Oh, yeah. Ronco and K-Tel. I love those.
You know
I love those. Hey, we got a couple minutes to go, Steve, and I want to ask you a couple of basic questions. I want you to take off your speaker hat and your comedian hat and your YouTube hat, and I want you to just share a basic tip, something that you think people don't think enough of as an entrepreneur, but they need to do more of. Maybe even something that you're not doing enough of. I'm sure it's something that I'm not doing enough of, in order to advance your business a little bit on a daily basis. A basic tip. Do you think you have one for us?
I do.
All right, fire away.
Tip number one is something I do just about every day of the week, is wake up first thing in the morning. Before I even fire up social media, I keep a gratitude journal on my desk, and I try to come up with at least 3 different great moments from the day before, and I try to make at least one of them something to do with my business. This is the best thing I did for my business yesterday, the best thing someone said about my business, the thing that I really focused on yesterday, making one more phone call, one more email, one more personalized video to a potential client. And this is something I would do whether or not I was a speaker. But how can I connect with the world and let it know about my business in one better way today? And each day when I write, hey, yesterday I did this, it makes me want to do it again. And it makes me keep pushing myself harder and harder and harder. Because what's the old saying? If you do the same thing you did every day, I forget what it actually is.
Yeah,
I write so many quotes, I can't remember anybody else's.
Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right?
Yeah, and I try to realize and recognize what I may have done yesterday, because when you get to the end of the year and you realize all these little tiny increments, it's kind of like an old wooden roller coaster. You see your goal at the top, but you don't realize that it takes 1,000 clicks to get there. And if I try to acknowledge what I did the day before that really helped me, even in a tiny way, I can build upon that to keep on growing. And it seems to be working.
Hey, great advice. Great advice. Now let's go over to the technology world for a second. Talk to me about a piece of technology that you think that you could not live without. Now, I've got to take your phone out of the equation, because everybody wants to use their phone on a daily basis. So if you did not have this other piece of technology, what could you not do any work with?
Oh, I would have to say my camera. And anybody who went to high school cannot believe that I actually sit in front of a camera now and get on stage and speak, because I was so shy and quiet. The camera is a great way to capture my mood, my emotion, my voice, my facial expression, my everything. And it's like my own little TV channel to the world. And I would feel so stifled without being able to share that.
Really interesting camera. I don't know. I think for me, a video camera would be really challenging. I don't feel comfortable in the art. It's just for me, it's very challenging. It's almost like I can use my hands when I'm doing audio. I can look at notes. I can look around. I don't know what it is about just when that little green light is on my computer. I freeze. And I feel like I now need to be much more scripted than I am if I'm just doing my podcast as an audio, which is, I guess, partly why I do an audio podcast and not use the YouTube channel yet.
Yeah, I very rarely use notes, and people have asked me. They go, "How come your eyes are always looking at the camera? Don't you look at the teleprompter?" I'm like, I hate teleprompters. I'll go into a video with a rough idea of where I want to go, but I just have gotten to be very in the moment with it. And people ask me all the time, "How did you get so comfortable in front of the camera?" And I tell them the same answer. I shot 400 very uncomfortable videos. That's how I got comfortable.
Look, as you're doing your YouTube videos, the Nice Guy Community, we'll put a link in the show notes to Steve's YouTube channel. But as you do your videos, that was the first thing that I thought. I thought, you're really comfortable. I mean, you just look like you're having a conversation with the camera, and I don't. If you've done one of them, you're not going to be comfortable. I've done 420 some, probably by the time this airs, 450 some episodes of our podcast. I'm comfortable in this environment. I'm not comfortable in front of a camera yet, but I guess it's just something that, like everything else, you just got to do it. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with the environment.
Yeah, I've got a hard drive full of videos that I can't even watch now. I mean, basically, they were such like kindergarten projects. If my mom could put macaroni and glitter on them, they'd be hanging on her fridge.
Exactly. Hey, Steve, if somebody from our listening audience wanted to get a hold of you or get more information about the services that you provide, how can they reach out to you?
Best place they can go is stevegamlin.com, Gamlin. Access is, everything is there. The radio shows, the videos, the articles, everything.
That is awesome, and we'll make sure we put a link in the show notes, especially to his YouTube channel and his website as well. Steve, thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
My pleasure. Nice guys rock.
Yeah, I like that. Nice guys do rock. Nice guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Steve Gamlin for being a part of the show today. All information, all goodies will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, take us out of here.
If you're hearing my voice right now, you obviously enjoy the podcast. So why not help the guys out? Click on the Patreon link in the show notes, and for as little as $2 a month, you can show your support. Or show us whatever you want.